It is a gorgeous day here in Brampton. You're watching Racing Fuel on Rogers TV. Thanks for joining us. And this is the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. Phil Perkins here, and I'm joined by the father-son duo, Kirk and Michael Robinson from Robinson Automotive. You guys are almost like automotive royalty here. You're an electrical engineer. You have your own show on Rogers TV. You have Auto Talk every day on Rogers TV. And what an amazing day for racing. And this is a very unique event here, the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom, where basically, have you ever had that urge to just put the pedal to the metal in your car on regular streets in the GTA, and you can't because there are speed limits? This gives drivers the opportunity to really test their vehicles. They pay a small price and they can rock out on the asphalt here in Brampton. It's really a unique situation here.
No, I think it is. I mean, you know, the thing that these young lads and some older gentlemen even, they spend a lot of money on their cars to make them look good, go fast, and you know, this is a safe environment for them to come out and get their money's worth.
Absolutely. And so what do you love about this event, Mike?
Well, it's just nice. You can come out, you don't have to worry about anything hurting your car, have some fun, and you don't have to race on the street. You don't have to, you know, do anything to endanger other people.
And we're talking about that off air. A lot of these guys, as you mentioned, Kirk, spend a lot of money on their cars. They look flashy, and on the street, you kind of feel bad for the driver because they're not really using the car the way it should be.
No, and sometimes they get pulled over just because their car looks fast, right? Yeah. So, you know, this is a nice venue for them to come out to.
Definitely.
I felt pretty lame driving here. Going the speed limit, I felt pretty lame driving here. And looking at these guys tearing it up on the asphalt here, it's quite a sight to see.
No, it's great. I'm excited to be here. I think we're going to see some nice cars and, you know, some good driving. And I'm sure, you know, it's actually where you can sharpen your driving skills, right? So it'll improve your winter driving. It's not a bad thing for many to be involved with.
Exactly, so we're just saying, so it's not just high-performance cars that we see here. I've seen a regular Honda Civic, nothing too crazy out there, doesn't seem too modified, but you can definitely test your own driving skills for sure.
Right, exactly. No, I think.
And so here, taking a look at what these drivers are going through. We have a long list of drivers, and this is a point system. First place gets 10 points, and there are a couple rules here. You see pylons littering this parking lot here in Brampton. So they have a couple rules here, and here's one of the. This is not a Honda Civic. This is something a little bit nicer than that. But we're going to be following this Porsche coming up to run through this track, and the times have been pretty good so far. Less than a minute to run through this entire track, right? Yep. And so basically we just want to run down some of the rules here. So if any of these cars knock over a pylon, each pylon is surrounded by a chalk square. And if the pylon is completely removed from that spot, that is a 2-second penalty. But there are some exceptions here. If you knock it down, but there's still a bit of the pylon in that chalk square, you don't get any points, any seconds added to you overall time. So far I've been here, I haven't seen anyone knock over any pylons. Pretty sharp driving so far as we watch this Porsche.
And Mike, what are we seeing on the horsepower?
Yeah, well, we got a nice Porsche Cayman here, so, you know, good amount of horsepower, nice suspension on it, rear engine. So he's actually having a pretty easy go at it. So you can see he's not having to oversteer or anything like that. Just go through it nice and smooth. Yeah, the
Porsches are kind of sensitive to the rear wheels folding up. And when they go, and then they go to a bit of a snap oversteer, just due to the design of the rear axles.
Yeah.
So
the nice thing is, with all that weight over the rear axle, he's got lots of grip there. You can see he's not skidding out of place or anything like that.
Now you guys live and breathe cars, basically. Kirk, you raced for 3 years, and you know, like I said, you have your own show. Mike, you're an electrical engineer. And so you could basically look or hear a car and you know exactly what's under that hood.
Oh, yeah. Exactly, and you get to see what modifications, you get to see their different driving styles that they're going to have. So you can already tell this guy, he's going to come out good and aggressive. And, you know, he's just tearing up the course there.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of push, but, you know, good for him. It's much better than oversteer. Push is understeer, and that's basically when the front end skids away as he's trying to enter the corner. He's going for it there.
So obviously this person definitely has a little bit more experience under their belt when it comes to driving through a course like this. What are some of the mistakes that, you know, novice drivers like myself in a situation like this, what kind of mistakes do they normally make?
Usually it's entering the corner too fast. So you basically charge into the corner because that feels fast. You brake too late, which unsettles the car, and then you're unable to put the power down to get out of the corner fast. So you feel you're going fast, but actually you're going slow. The whole idea is to be able to accelerate out of the corner, carry that speed to the next corner. So you want to keep a balance, and that's, you know, watching some of these cars, you can see what I mean about balance, right? The way they're pitching back and forth.
And speaking of drivers, all types of drivers here, and we're going to say that Kirk will be talking to some drivers at a later point in the program. So we're taking a look now at that gorgeous car, and right now on the track we have a Mazda Miata with a GoPro right up top. Gives a nice and personal look at what they're going through. And that's car number 13 being driven by Pat. This is a 96 Mazda Miata. And currently now we're taking a look at a Scion here.
Yeah, nice little Subaru motor in that car. Real low to the ground. A lot of low-end torque on it, but when you really start to give her, she goes up to about 6,500 RPM, so they get going pretty good.
Not much on horsepower though, right?
No, they're a little low. We're waiting for the turbo version to come out. So hopefully they'll put that nice Subaru Boxster in there, give it about 300 horsepower, and it'll be quite the contender. But it's very balanced.
I don't think many people realize that, you know, there's a Toyota out there or a Scion with a Subaru engine.
No, exactly. It's a kind of a combined effort. It's got the Subaru Boxster style. It's got Toyota fuel injection, direct injection, and no, it's a nice little package. Very tight. It's got it's a very composed car.
It's a good looking car too.
Very.
I just want to put a big turbo on it. That's what I want to do.
About 300-400 horse would be beautiful.
Yeah, needs 300 or 400.
And speaking of package, that car was straight out of the package. That Scion is 2013 Scion that was driven by Michael, and now we're taking a look at that as it rolls up. So we're going to see who has the fastest at some point. Here's number 16. This is a 95 Acura Integra driven by Shane.
The 95 seem to be going pretty good.
Oh yeah, these cars are flying pretty good. They've been at it for I think most of the morning now, and you can see they're really starting to get the cars dialed in.
And it's back-to-back Acuras. This is a 2000 Acura being driven by Nick, and he hit this one hard right off the bat.
Yeah, he had a bit of wheel spin there. And that's actually not going to help him.
Yeah,
and
he just locked up in the corner there. So he's definitely aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive today.
So do you blame it on those movies that glorify street racing, those guys with the burnouts?
He's coming in way too hot. That's why he's locking up. He needs to brake just a wee bit earlier. Yeah, just a bit earlier on the brakes.
You're saying he's getting a little excited, basically.
Yeah,
so
he's coming in a little too hot. That's why he's locking up. He'd actually pick up some time by slowing down his, tidying up his entrance just a wee bit.
So what do you think, what goes through a driver's mind when they're driving something like this? Specifically, maybe someone new to this. They must be exceptionally nervous, must be a mix of emotions.
Yep. You want to just think slow, you know, slow down, calm down. You'll actually go faster, believe it or not. Think through the process, have a nice braking zone, turn in properly, keep the car balanced, accelerate out smoothly. To be fast, you have to be smooth. So it's a delicate balance between smooth and what's going on.
And we're taking a look now at this, and we're at this driver here, and we're saying they're getting a little ahead of themselves, and we're seeing here that getting some roll here. But could you explain to the viewers just exactly, you know, how something like that happened? What's the risk of maybe that car even tipping over?
No, it's not going to tip over, but it could be improved depending on his shocks and his sway bars, right? They'll tend to flatten it out a bit. The way it's pitching tells me that, you know, he doesn't really have it set up properly for what he's doing. A little bit improvement on the camber, some roll bars, he'd be much better, and a different set of front shocks, obviously. Plus driving technique. If you pitch and jerk the wheel, you of course lift. You always have to remember you have 4 contact patches on the pavement. That's it, with the tires. So now if you pitch and lift it, now you have 3, right? And that contact patch is about that big, if you think about it, of your tire that touches the pavement. So when you lift and pitch it, you're actually removing that contact patch. And then of course, boom, you break loose, you have a problem. So you want to keep as much grip as you can, you go faster.
Well, speaking of fast, we have a 2008 Porsche here, driven by, I hope I'm saying this right, Ginger.
Oh, there you go.
And so now let's take a look. We're going from that Acura to whoever's driving this Porsche here, and let's compare the styles of driving here.
Smoother, much smoother, but of course the car is sort of designed for what's going on right now, so it's a much smoother. Little timid entering some of the corners, but still much smoother driver.
So there he almost, yeah.
A little bit of push there. We overheated. And you can see by his face, he knew he made a mistake.
Yeah, he was shaking his head in disgust. He was not happy with his performance.
You could actually use a bit of left foot braking on this track as you're going to kind of settle the car a bit more. That would be a trick I would be using here.
And now we're taking a look at the 2002 Audi TT being driven by Dan.
Yeah, nice little car, turbocharged. You can hear it blowing off when the turbocharger pressure is released. This one's going to be front wheel or all-wheel drive, so we're going to kind of see it start to push in the corners if you really start to get in deep.
Does its design help the fact that there doesn't seem to be any straight lines at all in terms of the aerodynamics? Does the design of the car help a lot?
Oh, look at that.
Well, it helps as far as suspension. You got to keep the suspension from wallowing, and because the corners are so tight, it's all about weight transfer. So keeping the weight neutral so that you're not flopping all over the track.
Well, just speaking of flopping all over the track, that one looked like it lost a little bit of control there.
Yeah, he was picking up the rear wheel.
Now, what causes that? Is
More suspension setup. I would put a stiffer set of front. I'd set the suspension a bit stiffer in the front if it's going to pitch like that. And once again with the stabilizer bars. And then you also get back to driver technique.
It's all about being smooth. You got to be smooth through the corners, keep your contact so that you can keep your speed up.
Yeah. Whenever you slide, you're actually scrubbing away your speed if you think about it, you see? So as long as you're moving forward in a smooth motion, you're going faster. Anytime you're sliding, you're braking.
right?
You just think of it in that manner. So you want as little of that as possible.
And we're looking at another vehicle that's coming up to hit this course. It's number 48. And this is a Subaru. We just saw Scion with a Subaru engine. We now see a 2010 Subaru here that's being driven by Frankie. Oh, sorry, correction, it's a 2013.
Which looks a lot like the Scion.
Looks a whole lot like. There are a couple cars that came out in the past couple months. They all kind of look like.
I know, I know.
Essentially the same car, and whoa, he's definitely going for it. You can see the rear end walk out there while he's in too hot.
And he completely lost
That's called
control.
oversteer.
Yeah. Now, when you get in hot like that, you got to back off with the rear-wheel drive cars and get your composure back. Otherwise, you see exactly what happens. Now his rear tires are so hot, he's having
Now he's
trouble
just
sticking.
goofing. Now he's just trying to be a drifter.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Just having some fun.
It looks cool, but not necessarily,
No.
not fast. You want to get a low time. Doesn't seem like the place to be. And you see there, he's going to get a 2-second violation from hitting one of those pylons. But at this point, it doesn't really matter about
I
this
don't
time.
think so,
He
no.
just wants to finish the course.
Exactly. Hopefully he's got some tires when he's done, though. That might be an expensive trip to the shop.
Yeah. No, that's the problem is they'll flat spot the tire in one specific spot when that happens. And so when he may drive away from today, he's going to have quite the vibration going on. Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at this spin out here. What exactly may have caused these tires burning out? We're taking a look now at the race itself.
See, what he's doing now is he's sort of panicking and lifting, and if you're not putting the power down, you lose your grip, and that's exactly what happened. He went a little hot, he had to have more brake than gas, and he had no adhesion, and then of course you get the snap oversteer. And it's not fun to come back from, especially on a real racetrack. That could cost you a lot of money. So here, that's not bad.
No, not too
That
bad
had
at all.
happened here, for sure.
We're taking a look at car number 44, a 2000 Honda S2000 is being driven by Ramesh. And we're going to see maybe he learned a lesson.
I like these
watching
cars,
our
eh,
Subaru.
Mike?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
He's doing it in style, top down.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
he's hauling.
He's a little hot.
He's going to have to take it back just a little bit.
So you're saying if someone were to burn out, perhaps on a real racetrack, it'd be exceptionally expensive. Why is that? Is there a difference in the properties?
If you snap and you go off the track, right, you're gonna you're going to hit something basically. If you're racing on a walled course, and of course you hit a wall, right? So here he's got room to make those mistakes. But you know, you take the back end of your car off at say Mossport, or it's gone. I mean, you're in the grass and you're into a wall. So yeah, snap oversteer is quite hard to control. It's better to have a bit of understeer. Understeer you can always lift out of it a bit. Your front tires will grab and away you go. Snap oversteer, you can try and throttle out of it, but you got to have room to throttle out of it, right? So.
Takes a lot of experience too.
And this is a car I have never seen before. This is number 46 being driven by Gary. It just says a 2013 car. That's all it says.
Well, it's definitely a kit car. I don't think he walked into a dealership and asked for a good lease rate on that one. But it looks like a radical or some type of kit car.
Yeah.
Looks like something out of Speed Racer.
And it's road, you know.
And it's got converters on
yeah,
it.
You can
so
see his
I was
Cadillac
impressed.
converter.
He's done a very good job of building it. Environmentally conscious. That's nice to see.
Well, yeah, let's break this down. You're the man with the academic background behind all this. What are you seeing in this car? What are you hearing from it?
Well, what I'm seeing is the exhaust is exposed, so he's trying to show it off on the one side. And what's nice is there's converters on it, so he's trying to make sure he's not harming the environment. He's looking after it, and you know, it sounds good. It's a nice little car.
And it seems to be driving pretty well, being driven quite well by whoever's behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's nice and light, I'm sure. Probably not a very heavy car by any means.
See what that time is. Very nice ride there by Gary in his 2013 car. I wonder what kind of name you give it. What would you call this if you had to give it a fancy name?
I like the Speed Racer one. We just got to put a trunk on it and we're good.
Yeah. What's under the hood on car?
Well, what's under the hood? This basically is Miata in disguise. NB 1800cc. All the running gear is Miata. Body's custom built, chassis custom built, scratch built.
So what inspired you to get rid of the Miata body?
It's called dieting. A Miata weighs about 23 to 2,400 pounds. Get rid of 500 or 600 pounds, and the 140 horsepower motor has a lot more strength. It's faster. It's quicker.
Very nice indeed. That's supposed to be. And we're going to take a look now at car 2013, or Speed Racer car. We're going to say that. Now let's break down the drive and Gary's style here on the slalom.
Not bad. Quite smooth. Done it before, you can tell. And turning early. No, he's actually quite smooth. Yeah, quite smooth. The big problem is, like I said, they get excited, they turn too late, they brake too late, and that's really why the car pitches so violently, right? So you just got to calm yourself down a bit.
Building a car like that, we're assuming that, yeah, they in fact did build a car, as we look here at number 47, a 1987 Audi, driven by Jonathan. How much would it cost to build a car like that, the 2013 car?
I'd say it's pretty budget friendly, to be honest with you.
Depends on your powertrain. If you decide to go with a 4-cylinder turbocharged powertrain, they're not too bad. You can get out for 15, 20 grand.
Yeah.
If you try to go all out with Porsche transmission, 500 horsepower V8, that kind of stuff, well, it's going to get kind of pricey.
And we're taking a look at this 1987 Audi driven by Jonathan. What are you guys seeing so far in this driver?
Gotta see Jonathan. There we go.
Just towards the tail end of it.
He's a bit hesitant on the brakes, but yeah. And he needs a new left tire.
Time is 62.010 for car number 47.
So guys, you've been in the business for a long time. Mike, obviously you're following in your father's footsteps and getting into this business, and your daughter and your sister's also in the business as well. So you've seen a lot of change in the automotive industry in terms of design and performance. What's the biggest difference you can see back from 20 years ago?
Well, the cars turn in better, lighter, just a lot more fun to drive, and you know, much faster with much better environmental impact. You know, you know, I have no desire actually to drive the old cars except maybe in, you know, in the street to cruise. But when you go to the track, you know, the light materials and the control arms and the rims, and you know, there's some beautiful cars coming right out of the factory today that you could throw out here that are reasonably priced, sort of like our Scion and Subaru. You really couldn't do that. Like if you think, you know, 20 years back and try and grab one of them, you couldn't have that much fun.
No, exactly.
And get better fuel economy while you're doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the tire technology has changed a bunch along with the braking. So you've got a lot more grip now. You see tires that used to be on Corvettes, tires that used to be on very expensive sports cars. Well, they're now on your everyday cars. So the cars have so much more grip, so much more braking efficiency. They can just do a lot more than they used to for a lot less money.
Yeah, and the reason they put those tires on is actually for fuel economy. Your performance tires have a stiffer sidewall, so that, you know, you don't get as much lean when you're driving on like a track like this. But they also found though that of course you get better fuel economy with those same tires. So that's where you're seeing them on you know, just your average Toyota.
We're taking a look here at car number 58, a 2006 Infiniti G35 driven by Vincent. And let's talk about are there some trends in the field, in the industry that you're kind of nervous about? Like a direction they're going, or progressions that you're not that fond of?
When they said they were going to put a V6 in the new Vet.
Exactly. Twin turbo V6 in the Vet. That's
I
sacrilege.
didn't sleep.
Why is that? Explain it to people who aren't McKinnon. Explain that.
A Corvette has to have a V8. Since year 2, it's had a V8. So that's always been the makeup. It's fiberglass, it's got a V8, and it's fast.
I trembled when I read that article.
We're now taking a look at this Infiniti here running the courses to our right. What have you guys seen so far in this vehicle, in this run?
Well, he's starting to calm down now. He was a little aggressive right out of the box. You can see he lost it at the beginning. But now he's kind of got himself into the groove.
Time is
Not a bad little lap.
59.340 for car number 58.
Those aren't a bad car either. They got good power.
They're really nice, really comfortable. If you're looking for a luxury car that you can go play around with, it's a really nice car.
And we're And we're going to keep playing around here in Brampton at the Push. So you're watching Racing Peel on Rogers TV. We'll be right back.
That guy'd be good though. Your name, sir?
My name's Colin.
Yeah, and?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. So who's driving?
Both of us.
Both of you. All right. So who's got the fastest time?
I have a bit more
I'll
experience
pass
than
up.
she does. So I do today, but
I think that's fair.
yeah, I think so.
No, it's cool you're sharing.
Well,
Oh,
if
yeah.
I got the faster time, he wouldn't bring me out again, so I have to make sure he does.
So she's dogging it. Yeah.
On purpose. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you know, it makes you feel good, right?
Exactly.
She's looking at it.
Welcome back to Brampton. You're watching Racing Peel on Rogers TV. And we're at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. Phil Perkins here with Mike Robinson from Robinson Automotive. His pop, Kirk, is going to be talking to some racers here. Many racers turning out on this gorgeous day here in Brampton to take their cars out for a spin on this track here. And Mike, we talked off air just real quick. A lot of these drivers are coming off hot.
Oh, big time. They're coming out of the box a little too hot because we're getting near the end of the day. And you can really see in the first couple corners, they're sliding around, the cars are pitching, and it takes them a little bit of the course to gain some of that speed back as they start to tone it down, essentially. You know, you've got to hit your marks. You've got to keep the car under control if you want to have a fast lap.
You're saying once that timer goes on, your brain goes to mush.
It totally goes to mush. That first corner is always the worst because you're excited, you've got the adrenaline pumping, and you want to just go for it. But part of being a quick driver is to calm yourself, not let the stress get to you, and you know, just make sure you do what you've got to do.
And that was a pretty good run by a 2010 Subaru driven by Jason. So both men and women going behind the wheel and testing their vehicles out. And as we see here, car number 42, a 2000 Mazda Miata being driven by Yang. And what do you think of Yang's start so far on this track?
So far, he's pretty smooth. He's you can definitely see he's hitting the apexes. So let's see how he goes through the slalom here. You can see he's nice and clean. He's not oversteering by any stretch, and he's definitely not out of his element. So a little hot there.
And we've seen that one corner that seemed to be trouble for some people as well. We already saw one vehicle kind of spin out there.
Yeah, definitely with the rear-wheel drives. People aren't as I'd say familiar with how the rear-wheel drives act under hard braking and hard turning. So that's kind of one for the rear-wheel drives. They want to spin out, they want to oversteer. So essentially, you can kind of see them working on it. They struggle with it a bit.
Ooh, almost hit the pylon there, number 42 with Yang, and the time was actually pretty good. Everyone here running under a minute. We're taking a look again at Yang's run here on the slalom.
Yep, you can see, good turn in. Keeping it under control, nothing too exciting there.
He's playing it safe is basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got the car under good control. You don't see him going for it where he's burning the tires. He's not locking up the brakes. He's just doing what you've got to do, and you have to do that to be fast.
Coming up next, we're taking a look at a 1992 Mazda being driven by Vince, and he's got someone in the passenger seat as well. Do you think that's going to hamper their time, having another body in there?
It does. You add another 150, 200 pounds. It definitely slows you down. It can also add to the pitching of the vehicle because you've got more weight. You do kind of even it out, which is nice, but no, definitely you're going to lose some straight line speed.
We'll see how they handle the corner here. Let me see if the weight distribution has either hampered or helped them here.
Yeah, we got out of the corner real nice. Definitely keeping it nice and composed. Power just a little bit late there, but he's going to pull it back through here.
Wondering if number 66, wondering if Vince is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. He's got a yellow convertible with Mary Lemieux's number. We're now taking a look at this very nice car here running through the track. This is a 1991 Acura NSX driven by Imran. Let's take a look and let's break down his performance so far.
Yeah, so far he's pretty good. He's got an NSXR wheel or wing on the back, so hopefully he's got some NSXR parts on that. But he's nice and quick, not over braking by any stretch. And you can just see how quickly, there's so little weight to that Acura, he can just throw it left, right, and you don't see a lot of body roll to it. It's just such a nice car.
So is there a car today that has really impressed you in terms of, let's talk about the performance, number one, because that's your thing.
All right, I'm here with
Imran.
Ebron.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice car. What year is it?
It's 91.
Great, aren't they?
I love it. It was my dream car ever since I was a kid, and I'm just glad I own it.
Yeah, getting ready to go out and do some laps. What have you done to her?
It has an exhaust and it's lowered a bit, but aside from that, that's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. No, and they drive quite nice.
Oh,
Solid engine.
great motor, and it's Honda reliability, so I can't complain.
Yep. Well, I love the NSX. I built one time,
for car
huge
number 70.
horsepower, all kinds of toys, custom wheels. It's just a really nice platform to build off of, and they handle amazing. So it's just so little weight, they're like go-karts.
Is there a car today that when you look at it, your heart skips a beat like, wow, that's a gorgeous looking car?
I like the new Viper. I have to say that V10, lots of horsepower, beautiful looks. That's a nice car.
And this is definitely not a Viper. This is a 2003 Mini Cooper being driven by Sam. Talk about go-karts, this handles like one.
Oh, definitely. He's got the hood scoop, so he's got an S. So definitely a turbo or supercharger under there. And you can just see him going along. He's doing a very good job.
Is it almost unfair that he's driving a car like this that handles like this compared to the other cars?
Not really. They are all classed appropriately, which is nice. And what the minis have in cornering ability, they kind of lose in horsepower. Because when you drop the weight, you got to drop the engine, and then, you know, straight line speed suffers. So you get through the corners quick, but you can't accelerate as quick as the other competitors.
How long have you had it?
6 weeks.
6 weeks, and you're already given it, eh?
Yep, I bought it just so I could do this.
Oh, that's really well, right? That's so fun. Yeah, they have it.
You're watching Racing PITL on
Time
Rogers
is
TV. We're at the Push It to the Limit
58.213.
Autoslalom. Gorgeous day here in Brampton, but kind of windy. Does that play a factor at all?
It's kind of helpful for the guys who are running turbos, because it's so hot today that your turbocharger will start to knock. Or the engine will start to knock. The turbocharger will have to pull boost to keep the engine essentially from exploding. So it is kind of nice to get a good breeze in here, get it cooled down, and get some air through the radiators.
This is Doug here, car number 74, driving a 1990 Acura. And speaking of cool, this car started off pretty hot right off the gate.
Oh, definitely. But he's still driving within his limit. You can see there he's just losing a little bit of speed through the corner there. He needs to just stay into the power a little bit more.
So when you say driving to his limit, like his own personal driver limit or the limit of the vehicle itself?
Mostly I'd say it's mostly the driver itself, their limits. When you get into the more advanced techniques like left foot braking, you get into different methods of driving. You can go faster, but it takes years and years of practice.
So how long have you personally, you've been working on cars, how long have you been working on cars?
Since I was about 4 years old.
Wow. Because your dad, we talked about it earlier in the show, he drove for 3 years and now
Yep.
he's still involved. He hosts a show called Auto Talk on Rogers TV as we take a look. And you guys also have your own business,
Yep.
Robinson Automotive, and maybe you could be seeing this car here. One tire lifting right off the ground.
Yep, exactly. It's just from that the type of suspension that it uses. You'll see those trailing arms, they'll pick up in the corners.
We're now looking at car number 77, a 2000 Mazda Miata. A lot of convertibles today, but their hair is not blowing in the wind. Everyone has to be wearing a helmet. This has been driven by Chris. And we'll see how he comes out the gate here, whether he's going to come off hot like everyone else.
Not bad. Looks
Pretty
like
smooth.
looks like he's got some nice sticky tires on there too. Looks to be a semi-slick or possibly a slick under there. So he should have some good grip through these corners.
Do you think he bought the tires just for today? Is that unusual?
No, that's it's a very smart thing to do actually. Come in on your street tires. You never drive your race tires to the track. Run around with your race tires so that you don't wear out your tires you have to go to work with, and you get amazing performance out of them. So you can see how fast he's going and how well he's sticking. So the car's not sliding, the tail's not coming out, it's just very composed.
We're going to take a look and we'll tell you what his track time is, see if those tires did pay off. And yeah, he did seem to have a lot of control with his vehicle with those nice sticky tires that you mentioned. Coming
A
on
lot
the
of
final
speed,
turn here.
yeah, a lot of speed through there.
Almost seemed to lose a little
Time
bit
is
of control in that final turn.
53.816 for car
So
number 77.
53.816 seconds. Pretty good time for Chris
Not bad at all.
in his 2000 Mazda. We're taking a look at the many cars that have descended here into Brampton. This is a race in a sense. It's an auto slalom, but at the same time, we talked about earlier in the show, it's a great way for a lot of people to hone their skills as a driver and really push the limit to their car, because really,
Yeah.
unless you have a lot of money, you're going to get a lot of tickets driving like this on the streets of the Greater Toronto area.
Oh, exactly. So you can go out here, you can learn how your car reacts in different situations. So panic stops, if you're cut off on the highway, what's going to happen. And it's very important when you have these high performance rear-wheel drive cars to know what they do in those situations. That way you stay off the guardrails.
That's very true. This is a 2004 Subaru being driven by David. You know what? That is a great point. It's almost like, I guess, learning more about your car. Like it's like you're hanging out with a person. You're taking them out, put them in a crisis situation, see how they react. And you're kind of putting your car kind of through the same thing, controlled chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. once you step up to the rear-wheel drive, you step up to the high horsepower, it's a completely different world than having your regular passenger car. So in extreme situations, they're going to handle much, much different.
And for a lot of people who may be thinking about trying this, is there a way to even practice? Or just coming here, this is the best way to do that?
Well, these events are amazing practice because you can go through. You don't have to compete, like you don't have to come out of the box and just go as hard as you can. You can learn, you can feel, you don't have to overdrive. And then there's always some really nice racing schools in the GTA where
Time
you
is
can go
60.120,
learn for the day,
including
drive
one
around
cone
the
penalty.
tracks, and really get a hang of how the car works.
And that car seemed to work pretty well, just over 60 seconds. It is a case of milliseconds here for people who want to get first place. And we're looking now at car number 101 being driven by Clive, a 2002 Mazda Miata. The Miata's getting a lot of love today. A lot showing up in huge groups here today.
Yeah, well, definitely. This car is really well made for this kind of racing. So it's very light, it's very nimble. You can throw it around with not a lot of weight distribution, and it just sticks. So it's a very good car.
And it seems to be performing quite well so far in the course.
Yeah, as you can see, there's not a lot of drama to it. It just goes, does its job, and they knock out really nice times.
We'll tell you what that time is immediately after they're done the course. And we talked about earlier in the show, your dad was saying a lot of people brake too late, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job anticipating each turn.
Yep, no, he's definitely done this before. This isn't his first time here. So you can see he's planning his corners, he's planning his exits. With the cars, you want to make sure you're on the power.
Time is
when you come out of the corner,
57.032.
that's where you start to lose a lot of time because you're not composed to accelerate out.
And he has a lucky feather as well. And it seemed to pay off, a time of 57 seconds. Just over 57 seconds, 57.033.
Tell me about your car, Peter.
2006 Lotus Elise. Lots of fun to drive.
Had it long?
Yeah, I bought it new, so going on 7 years now.
How many autocrosses you done with it?
2-3 dozen.
Oh, there you go. So you're getting quite familiar with it. They're a nice little car, very agile, right?
Yep, it's awesome. Good ride.
Yeah. What is it for horsepower?
190.
190, eh?
Yeah.
Any work to the suspension?
Nope. Stone stock.
No, it's you know what, very reliable that way, and a lot more fun sometimes, eh?
Yeah, it's a lot of good fun.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. Okay, thanks.
Camera time for a very attractive looking vehicle. And we have a Lotus here, car number 117. This is a 2006 Lotus being driven by Peter. And let's talk a little bit about this car in general to the people who might not be too familiar with it.
Well, it's a Lotus, which it's a nice lightweight car. I think they only weigh about 2,000 pounds. Usually powered by a Toyota platform, so you'll have like a 1.8 Corolla motor in there or a Camry motor. And due to their super lightweight, they get moving really quick. So don't need a lot of horsepower to get the job done because they handle just so well and they're just so light.
Seem to be handling very well so far in this course.
Definitely. He's just eating up the course right now. You can see not a lot of, the body's very composed through the corners. There's not a lot of wiggling, a lot of body roll. And you can see when he's on the power, it just hooks up and goes.
Yeah, this is definitely a head turner just looking at it, but then definitely when it's performing, pretty amazing. Is it offensive I call it a machine? Is it offensive? Do you get offended by that?
No,
Time is
it's definitely a machine, but
54.769,
beautiful
including
machine.
one cone penalty.
And it's a good thing that he knows how to drive it because nothing's worse than showing up with something like that and not being able to turn some heads.
And we're just taking a look here at that run by that Lotus and hit a pylon. And the rules here at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom is you hit a pylon, you remove it from its chalk border. That is a 2-second penalty. But other than that, pretty good run by that Lotus.
Yeah, very nice run.
We're taking a look at car number 121 in 1990, another Mazda Miata. And this is being driven by Greg. And it says maximum attack on his door. And let's see how he attacks this course, Mike.
I think he missed the shift out of the gate, but let's see if he can bring it back.
See if he can make up for lost time.
He's definitely going for it, that's for sure. Trying to make up for it. You can see the rear end walk out a little bit in that corner. But seems to have it composed again. Let's see how he does with the slalom.
He's going through the straightaway a little gingerly.
Okay. Going for it again. You can see he's on the power. A little late on the brakes. But he's got it back now. You can see with being late on the brakes, he's having a hard time getting on the power. So he's having a hard time getting the rear end locked down so that he can accelerate out of the corner.
And we'll see if Greg has been able to catch up for that little hiccup right to start.
Time is 55.926.
So pretty good run, 55.926.
Not bad at all.
That's pretty good. And we can see here, this is car number 133, a 95 Nissan 200SX being driven by Al.
This one's front wheel drive, so you're going to see it's going to act a lot different than the other cars when he starts loading it up. But it should be nice and composed through here if he can keep off the power.
Is there a difference in performance from front to rear wheel drive?
Definitely. When you ask the tires to accelerate, to brake, to steer all at the same time, you can lose a little bit of adhesion, where the rear wheel drive is nice because the tires are just doing one thing at a time. They're either braking, they're steering, they're accelerating, so there's a lot more grip to be had. But typically your front wheel drives are a lot easier to drive, as they don't spin out, they don't attack you as bad when you mess up.
So what happened here? It looked like he kind of braked a little bit midway through.
I think he might have missed a shift, or something happened there. He may have stalled.
Let's see if it'll cost him.
Time is
And
61.955.
it sure did, 61.955 seconds for Al. And we're taking a look at car number 199, an 84 Porsche, being driven by Darren.
A very light car. This doesn't appear to be a turbo model, so it won't be super fast through the straights, but it's going to make it up in the corners.
Yeah, it's got to be a tease, really, to take these cars out and drive them like this and then drive back home.
Well, usually you're so tired by the time you're done racing that, you know, all you want is a nice comfy car to drive home in. So once you get done here, it's all out of your system. You don't take it to the road.
And it really is almost like an addiction, the speed and the adrenaline, I'm sure.
Definitely, definitely. No, usually after you get done, you go home, you relax, and then you sign up for the next day. And just keep going all summer long.
Seems to be a pretty good run from
Time is
Darren.
55.061 for car number 199.
And just
driven
over
by
55
Duran
seconds
Barus.
for the
That
84
run was
Porsche.
Duran's quickest time by 0.017 seconds. Can you handle that? Well, can ya? Hunk.
And if you can probably hear from our mics, perhaps picking up that robotic voice behind us as dishing out the time. So we take a final look at car number 199 being driven by Darren. Pretty good time. We're having a pretty good time here in Brampton at the Push to the Limit Auto Slalom. You're watching Racing Peel on Rogers TV. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Brampton. We're here at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. You're watching a Racing Peel here on Rogers TV. I'm Phil Perkins here, joined by Mike Robinson of Robinson Automotive, and let's get right to it. This is card number 118, and he hit this one running.
Oh,
right now,
definitely.
Mike.
He's got that little rotary purring. So this engine's not the same as your usual engine. Doesn't use any pistons. Uses a rotor, which is a triangle-shaped piece that actually replaces the pistons, and they're able to get up to some just amazing RPMs.
And if you're just joining us now here in Brampton at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom, this is a great opportunity for a lot of people with high-performance cars or just want to test out their own driving skills. They pay a small fee, I believe it's only $40, and they can run this track and try to get the best time. And I think we have about 50 other cars left to go through this track for the first time. And this car number 18, I apologize, I said it was 118. This is a 1979 Mazda RX-7 being driven by Gary. And everyone gets a time, and then there are first, second, third place, and there are points given to each person depending on what place they're in. There's also a couple rules here. If any of these pylons are hit by a vehicle and are removed from a chalk square around it, they get a 2-second penalty. And this is producer Fraser Tom's baby here.
Beautiful Alpha. It's kind of a shame they're not out anymore, but they're coming back next year, so that's going to be nice.
And that's car number 25, a 1974 Alfa Romeo being driven by Aldo, of course.
It's fitting.
Lots of beauty shots here. Keep dreaming, producer Fraser. Maybe one day.
Yep, should be quite neat to see. You don't see too many of them anymore, let alone any of them being competed with. So it's kind of rare to see something like that out today.
How do you predict that it would perform?
About as well as something in the 1970s did. So
Yeah.
not quite up to par with a modern race car, but he's going to have a lot of fun and arguably the best looking car here today. Definitely the most style.
And there's definitely a lot of style here in Brampton at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. And let's watch this classic car just hit the road.
You don't even really need to say anything, just watch how nice this thing is.
See, I don't know about you. I'd get super nervous. I'd do something to the car driving like this.
Oh, definitely. That's why it's so rare. You just don't see this kind of stuff at events because it's so rare, so hard to find parts for, and kind of expensive, honestly, when things break.
Especially a 1974 Alfa Romeo for sure.
Yeah,
Pretty specific parts.
Yeah, you're definitely not walking into your local store and picking up parts. More of a eBay kind of thing.
He seems to be doing pretty well so far. The final turn.
No, he's definitely done this before, you can tell.
Oh, and he hit a pylon there. We'll see if they actually get a 2-second violation.
Go ahead.
Now, it's not just passenger cars and sports cars. We got pickup trucks too here in Brampton at the Push to the Limit Autoslalom. Are they going for time here, or they just want to gun it?
Oh, definitely. No, that Tacoma's got a big motor. It's most likely got the 4-liter in it, and you can see it's moving. So he's definitely got some suspension work done. It's quite low to the ground, and no, he's getting some good horsepower out of it. So.
Handling the turns pretty well.
No, very much so. I'd definitely love to see what's been done to that truck.
Yeah, it looks quite nice. And at Robinson Automotive, you guys customize vehicles as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll do suspension modifications, horsepower additions, anything to make your toy, a little bit nicer and to customize it so it's kind of the car you want to drive.
And this car is definitely not towing livestock or anything like that, or going through country roads. Something tells me this is a purely performance-based vehicle. You can see the GoPros all over the outside of that car. Pretty good time there. We'll get a listen soon. And let's take a look at this beauty. This is car number 27, 1967. Blue MG MGB being driven by Lauren.
Oh, beautiful car.
Let's talk a little bit about this. What do you know about this one?
That's a little before my day, about 20, 30 years before my day.
Just a tad.
But I'm pretty sure they run a 2-liter. It'll be stick shift, obviously. They usually have a nice little suspension under them. Not a lot of body roll you'll see in the corners. And nice live axle on the back.
Oh, and he just hit a pylon there. That could be a 2-second violation as one of the marshals goes to check it out, see if it left that chalk barrier. Pretty good turning there by Lauren. Of course, this car not exactly having the horsepower.
No, what it's down on horsepower, it's making up with turning ability. These cars were so light back in the day that they didn't need a lot of horsepower to get moving. Just your typical, I don't want to say typical, but just a nice British sports car. Keep it light, keep it quick.
Time is 62.038,
As we said, in terms of horsepower,
penalty.
just over 62 seconds for that. But it definitely makes it up in style as we take a look at car number 32, the 2002 Honda Civic being driven by Alfred and showing some pizzazz, putting some eyebrows on the front lights. Why not? Everyone's having a great time. I thought it was going to be rained down. There's a 40% chance of thunderstorms. That does not seem to happen.
No, it's a beautiful day, and these kind of cars, this one's got a naturally aspirated motor in it. It's actually a bit of a rare Civic. It's going to really like this course today.
Now, what does that mean exactly for those who are not geared as aspirated motor, you said?
Well, this motor is just an engine. It doesn't have a supercharger or turbocharger or anything like that on it. The enemy of any engine is heat. So if you have a turbocharger, you're building a lot of heat. Same with the supercharger. Well, on a hot day like today, you start to get too much heat in the motor, so you can have knocking, all kinds of bad things can happen. So typically what the turbocharger guys will do is they'll start lowering the boost, lowering the power levels, and just wait for colder days. And
speaking of, it is the antithesis of a cold day. The humidity is about 36 degrees outside. And let's take a replay. Let's take a look at the vehicle to see one of the tires looking like it just lifted off the asphalt just for a couple seconds.
Yeah, he had a lockup in the back there, you could see, and it just kind of unsettled the car.
And we're now taking a look at car number 35. This is a 2009 Pontiac being driven by Jerry.
Now this will be nice. This one's either got a V6 3.6 or a V8 6 liter. So this one should be a pretty quick car.
Going in there, but tell us why.
So these days, the computer in the system is managed by another computer. What you can do is make adjustments into it. So I can go in, I can tune how much power I want, how much fuel I want to go in, or I can tune for fuel economy. But today we're going for maximum power.
Right.
Yeah.
And a quick return to the booth is your dad, Kirk Robinson, who's been on the field talking to the many racers here, many drivers. What do you think about this car so far?
Exactly. No, he's got his electrical engineering sticker on the back too, so my fellow classmates.
Well, I actually had a good chat with him, and he's just bought it, learning to drive it. Wheels were on it. It's got cat-back exhaust and air intake. A little bit of tuning.
Yep.
So, no, and a real nice chap too.
So you've been talking to a lot of the drivers here. So what kind of feedback, what kind of people you're running into?
Well, I think the most important thing I learned is that we know what car is.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, so what's going
I think,
on there?
you know, that's something I had to do, and I've done it. So, car is a Miata.
Oh.
There you go.
And Kirk's referencing it looked like a custom-made, very custom-made car. It didn't really have a make, it just said 2013 car, so we definitely had to take a look at that. And this GM might be no longer, but that car, the tie was pretty good, just over 57 seconds.
Yeah.
As we take a look at car number 36, a 2008 Porsche being driven by Ginger. This is their second run so far here on Racing Field. And wow.
Ginger's got a problem. His air to oil separators just popped. So he's going to need to, well, most likely it's popped. He's got a problem with his PCV system.
Right.
So he needs to get that in the pits and get that looked at before
he needs to settle down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, basically
I hope he checked his oil level.
Yeah, he needs to be on his oil level for sure, because he can do a lot of damage today if he's not careful.
Really?
Yeah, it's a common problem on those Porsches.
Yeah, the diaphragms tear open on their air-to-oil separators, which keep the motor clean. And when that happens, you just pour oil into the engine. What'll eventually start happening is oil will actually pour out through the exhaust manifolds and will just drip right on the ground.
Wow.
Which means oil starvation, and boom, a Porsche engine. And the price of that Porsche engine
is about $20,000.
Wow.
So it's usually good to check the oil.
Yeah.
Maybe we should give them a heads up once they get to the finish line.
Yeah. I think his friends hopefully will inform him of that.
Time is 56.1.
Well, we'll see what they do tonight if Ginger comes back.
With a loud knocking noise.
Yeah, and let's take a look at that again.
And poof.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
That is not.
No. Anytime your car does that, no.
Not a good smell either.
No. And you know, that oil will actually coat the catalytic converter. It can take, so not only can you damage the engine, but you can also damage a catalytic converter, which isn't cheap on that either.
Gee whiz, we're taking a look at car number 43, a 2003 Toyota Matrix being driven by Ryan. Let's see if this is a cleaner run on his part.
Well, he's got the XRS package on that one, so he should be able to rev it up pretty high. Dual overhead cam motor. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, that did definitely not sound like factory bought.
No.
He definitely did some work to it for sure.
No, it's got a little exhaust work. It's a nice motor from the factory. Very high revving, so that's why you'll hear it. It just screams when it goes.
He's actually being pretty smooth for the bumpy parking lot. You notice that?
So, fellas, we're seeing a lot of, well, Kirk, you were out there, you were talking to a lot of the drivers, some people from beginners to experts, like the chap who created car.
Yeah.
So if someone, you know, is watching this for the very first time and wants to learn more about cars but doesn't know where to look, where do you guys suggest?
Well, I think the website for this event had some driver training available and some recommendations for it, and I think that's where you start. You know, and then you know, because this is going to help you, you know, in the winter driving. Like, this all translates. If you lose the front end on ice or the rear end on ice while you're out driving, you kind of intuitively will know what to do, right? Without having to you know, have an accident. you know, or collision, we should say. So, no, this is good for everyone. It makes much better drivers.
So where do you suggest, besides coming out here to the track, people who just want to, you know, maybe do some research first before they attack something like this? Is there like a school or a website or somewhere that you guys would suggest?
One I'm familiar with is run by Brett Goodman. It's at the Toronto Motorsport Park, and it's the Bridgestone Driving School, and a very good school. And believe it or not, I used to do Brett's race car 20 years ago. I prepped his race car, and he's still at it with the driver training. There's lots of schools like that you can go to, and then if you want to graduate into racing, of course, they have that option too.
Mike, what do you think promotes people to want to get into something like this? They just drive fast. Do they watch Talladega Nights and be like, I want to do that?
I think it always starts with the car first. First you get the car, and you're all excited. You know, you got it nicely waxed at home. You got lots of horsepower. You got nice suspension. And then you go, well, what do I do with it? And you don't want to do something illegal. You don't want to endanger other people. So then you start looking for other avenues. You know, where can I play with this toy? Where can I safely do what I want to do?
There's a very nice toy here, car number 44, 2000 Honda S2000, being driven by Ramesh.
I'm quite fond of those. I really am. I like the Honda engine. I like the way they look. High revving engine.
Very high. Some of those will rev to 8,500, 9,000 RPM right from the factory. So very balanced car too.
Well, you can tell. See how it's cornering? Just no problem. He's got it lowered. You can definitely tell. So I'm sure there's some work done.
Definitely an aggressive attack on it.
Kind of makes you want to go get our toys and go out there and play. Yeah.
What did you guys? I gotta ask. What did you guys drive here?
Oh, I brought my Suburban because you know I didn't know where I'd be able to park. But yeah, I think I'm gonna bring. I have a Z06 Vet. I'm gonna bring out. Mike has a turbo.
I've got an SRT4 turbo, so about 400 horsepower. It'd be a lot of fun to play with here.
No, my Vet's 600 horsepower. My Subaru is 500 horsepower. We got some toys.
So what is the horsepower of car number 46 car? What is the horsepower? Did you get to talk to the
140.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 140. But he's got a header on it and a bit of an intake, so he's about 160.
Is there a whole fleet of these cars here? There several with different numbers.
The Miata's very popular. Yeah, very popular.
So he got a Miata and it just customized the heck out of it.
Yeah, he was trying to knock the weight down, so he saves 500 to 600 pounds, he said, by going with that body.
Wow.
Of course, his daughter's out here, and I didn't get the car she was lapping in, but she's already beat him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's time for a turbocharger. That's about it.
Well, I told him that, but he didn't seem to care.
That brings me to ask the question: have you guys ever raced each other? Like who's
we're in kind of different leagues. When you have a 600 horsepower car and a 400 horsepower car, you can kind of guess which one wins.
Yeah.
One's also had many years of racing experience.
Time is 50.985.
So I need a significant advantage. Put him out there in a Civic, and I'll take him on with the Vet. Then we'll be about even.
Pretty good time for car or the Miata. It's just over 50, so 50.985. Take a look at car number 51, a 2003 Infiniti G35.
Definitely not stuck there. He's definitely got some form of forced injection on it, or induction on it. Sounds like a turbocharger, and it's quick.
I think we found one here with the turbo on it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's a bit of tuning right there.
That's quite a lot of tuning. Very high compression motor right from the factory. Very difficult to turbocharge correctly. You can see it's got a little intercooler up front, but he's got to be having some troubles with the heat today.
Yeah. And how we talked about how the heat could play a factor at least on the motor. How does it affect the ground that they are driving on, or the wheels? Like how else does it affect what's going on today?
There's our Porsche with a bit of a mechanical issue there, a little too rich, but well, obviously heat is going to affect the wear of the tires. So, you hear that pop up?
Yeah,
that was nice.
Good.
That was nice.
Time is 54.35.
A little bit of a turbo surge.
You want a little bit in this kind of atmosphere, just to keep the boost pressure up.
Yeah. No. Now the heat affects the tires, right? And the tires do start to go off towards the end of the run. Obviously, the more you slide, the more you understeer or oversteer, you put more heat in them. And you may say, well, that's a good thing. It isn't necessarily a good thing. Too much heat, and the tire washes out.
Right.
So, not necessarily a good thing.
Taking a look at car number 55, a 2006 Honda being driven by Jerome.
It looks like a nice little Civic SI. About 170 horsepower there, 180.
Is there a reason why I see a ton of Honda Civics out there that are completely souped up? Why is it that people gravitate towards the Honda Civic to do what they want to and customize it? Why is that?
It's just cost of entry. Cost of entry is quite low, and you can customize them unbelievably. There's so many different parts. You can buy different sway bars, different suspension, motor additions. You can do all kinds of stuff to them, and it's quite cost effective.
No, I mean, there's just parts everywhere for Honda.
Exactly. And it's not a bad package right from the factory.
Well, they're such a solid engine.
Yep.
Time is
definitely.
55.
When we built that NSX and we took it to the track, and our Subaru went down that day, we sort of only had the NSX to drive, and we flogged it all day. And that thing was solid.
Taking a look at the replay there, that Civic got initially a 55, just over 55-second track time, but a 2-second violation for knocking off that pylon there. Jerome might not be too happy about that as we take a look at the Subaru Impreza here. And those two are also great cars.
Yep, very much. These are really quick, very torquey. The all-wheel drive here is going to give him a good advantage out of the corners, but it is going to push as he goes into the corners.
That's a 2011 Subaru being driven by Ray.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of push.
Yeah, he's going a little too hot, and he's pushing through the corners, so he's having a hard time getting back on the power.
So you have to turn in early when you get a lot of push. You actually aim at the pylon and then step on the gas, and it will actually drift you back out and you'll miss the pylon. It's kind of a technique you have to perfect, but when you get that kind of push, that's the way you get rid of it and use it to an advantage.
Is driving through a course like this a lot like playing any other sport? You can't think like you just do? Because you know the saying, think you only hurt the ball club. But do you have to somewhat be thinking if you're driving through such a high speed, right?
Yeah. I mean, when we did driver training back years back, I originally went to the Spinard David Racing School. We spent a whole day just doing car control, just on a skid pad before we even learned the rest of heel toe and of course driving on the track. So once you have car control and it's intuitive to you, then you of course will not have as many accidents, obviously. and when you are truly racing, you are always losing it. You're always a little bit oversteer, a little bit understeer if you're pushing it to the limit. So you've got to be able to respond and not, like we saw with the snap oversteer earlier, if he would have, time on a skid pad, you can kind of feel your car going and you can sense that, and you know that instantly your body will be like, how do I react to that? And it'll save a big spin out.
Right.
Fortunately here, not a very costly one.
So practice makes perfect for sure.
That's right.
It was back-to-back Subarus. This is a 2010 Subaru that just finished the course here. With a time of 56.27. That's pretty good there. And we're taking a look at, we're talking about Miatas, lots of Miatas here. This is car number 63 at 1990, Mazda Miata, being driven by Jonathan. But no, for sure, I guess in anything, right? Practice makes perfect, and just making things seem natural.
But this is great practice for them. Come out here, it's not too expensive. If they make a mistake, they hit a cone, that's not a big deal. So this is actually very good driver training. What I'm seeing a bit of is like the gentleman with the NSX, he kind of took his clutch out. When I was doing the roving interview, I did a service call over there. And that's where they need to learn heel and toe, and that's the downshifting technique to kind of preserve the clutch, right?
It takes a lot of skill to preserve the clutch, preserve the tires, preserve your brakes, and this is good training for later when if you want to do more endurance-y type racing where you're on the car for a long time, well, you can't break it.
Yeah.
That car might need some body work too.
Time is 54.424.
Pretty good time, 54, just over 54 seconds.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Olympics. It's all about the milliseconds here. It's not the big numbers. But.
Well, the nice thing is a Miata with the low horsepower and the suspension the way it is, they can't get in a lot of trouble right here.
No.
They don't have a lot of torque, so they're not going to tend to get going too fast and get over their head. And they handle really well, so they're perfect for this, really.
And we're now looking at another Mazda Miata, a 92 edition. Car number 66 being driven by Vince. who I'm going to predict, I said this earlier in the show, is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan or a Martin Lemieux fan. Not a pylon fan. He just knocked one over just now. That'll be a 2-second violation for Vince. Oh, almost had another one.
What did I say? Couldn't get in too much trouble with him, Anna? I don't know.
He's definitely more aggressive. His last run was a little more inside his element. So
Yeah.
I think he's going for it this time.
And we always say go slow to go fast, don't
Exactly. He probably will find that this one's a little slower than his last run.
we? Yeah.
Let's see what his initial time was.
Time is 57.400.
Yeah, slower.
So it would have been 55.4, but because he hit that pylon, as we're going to see here, that 2-second violation is going to cost him. And now we're taking a look at car number 58. This is a 2006 Infiniti G35 being driven by Vincent. This is his second time on the course. Let's see if he can get some seconds off from his first.
You know, the thing is, it's a nice car to drive every day.
Yep.
You know, luxurious, all the gadgets on it. Boom, come to the track
Exactly.
and have some fun.
Exactly. You can take a Bluetooth phone call while you're driving.
Yeah. Can't talk racing.
It has happened.
Can I call you back?
Well, I'm sure you guys probably, you could do a bunch of, I'm not saying it's good to multitask and drive, you know, we're trying to be safer, but I'm sure you guys you could probably bake an egg or something, or flip an egg or fry an egg while driving at high speeds. I'm sure you guys can do a lot.
Yeah, I have a YouTube video on our website, you know, of a test drive with a, I guess he was a cameraman too.
Yeah,
yeah.
the client.
And yeah, you can see what we can do in the car. We were having a nice conversation while
Time is
he was sort of flipping out.
58.872.
And it's not just cars, we've seen some pickup trucks. This is the second we've seen so far today. This is a 2006 Toyota. But first, we're showing this beauty here, fellas. This is a 1968 Lotus Elon driven by Colin. That's coming up after that pickup truck. And
Nice. Well, you know the pickup truck while I was out doing my interviews, that's supercharged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They are quick. That's all I can say. For
Yeah.
a pickup truck,
Yeah.
they are flying
He
today.
supercharged it.
But now we're taking
Says
a look.
it's 6 pounds of boost. Yep. Oh, here we go, the Lotus.
And look at this. You can still kind of see the style evolution. We have a newer one that's also a bright yellow one. You can still kind of see the references from this vehicle here. Let's see how this one turns out.
So they have a bit of a quick suction there, right? They're kind of staying in second through the sweeper there. That makes it a lot more fun.
Wow. He's definitely going.
Oh. We get possibly a 2-second violation there for the Lotus.
It's
and
handling. Wow.
Wow. That was a close call right there.
Good for him.
I can't say I'd take a 50-year-old car and do that with it, that's for sure. But
What's going through his mind at that point? Like, what are you trying to do to get out of that situation, which he did pretty well?
you're not thinking, you're just, honestly, a lot of it's instinct. He's definitely done this before,
Yeah.
kind of relying on what he's done before and what he's learned.
That was some nice driving there. It really was. That looked good. 53.
Wow. And here's a
Yeah.
replay of that.
That was good driving too.
Yeah, just over 53 seconds for that
Yeah.
Lotus. That was pretty good.
Very balanced. He did a very good job. Yeah. No, he did a beautiful job. And with an old car like that,
Yeah.
that kind of shows up the new stuff, doesn't it?
Wow, that was pretty amazing. I know he drives an Aston Martin, but I kind of thought I was in a James Bond movie for a second watching that.
Yeah, we've got the Mini out there. Those are fun.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier when you're out doing interviews. Yeah,
okay.
the Minis are doing
Yeah.
representing well. This seems to be the only one that I've seen as we take a look at car number 67, a 02 Nissan being driven by Matt. He's got that GoPro right on top. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of these races on YouTube.
I don't see that one as a race car.
Yeah, it's an SER, so
Yeah.
it's got the, I think it's a 2.4 in that one.
Yeah.
So out of the Altima. Nice balanced little package. Usually they have Brembo brakes installed, so you get some good stopping power. You know, just kind of a nice cost-effective car to throw around the track and have some fun.
Your brother has a similar car, though. I don't want to see him driving like that, though.
I think he does, though.
I don't want to know that.
What's a big mistake a lot of people make when they try to customize their vehicles, perhaps on their own, or maybe going to a dealership that might not be the most reputable? What are some of the big mistakes people make?
It's putting items on that might void your warranty, right? If you're still under warranty, putting items on that might damage your car, right? It might do damage to the engine. So you have to take all that into account. Putting items on that, you might fail the emissions test. So you can't get all excited and just start bolting things on. You should have someone, get some consultation as to, what would be good. Because there are many modifications, believe it or not, like a nice exhaust and a nice intake will actually get you more fuel mileage and better emissions if done right. So it's a matter of the expertise. That's what we see.
Definitely.
We see just a lot of half-done mods or.
We're talking about experience of the driver, as we see there. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Not quite set up for the track.
No, it's that link suspension. It'll just lift that rear wheel off if you're really going through it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to lose adhesion like he's doing, because now you're relying on 3 tires to get you through the corner.
Yeah.
Taking a look at car number 77 now. There's a 2000 Mazda Miata again being driven by Chris K.
The rotors aren't too big on that. You notice that? The brakes aren't too
now
big.
This one's on slicks, if I remember right, so he's going to be
this is
pretty
the sticky
quick.
tire ones, right?
Yeah, you're going to see him throw it in the corner pretty hard here.
And see, the thing folks don't realize too when you're racing is you go to slicks for the better adhesion, but because they adhere so well, when you hit the brakes, you're actually putting more load on your brakes too, because you're trying to stop much sooner. So puts a lot of heat through the entire braking system. You can often overheat a set of brake calipers by your tire choice, believe it or not.
He's been doing a pretty good job though
Not bad.
here.
The other issue with slicks is if you do get in a situation where you
that's
what I was going to say.
There you go.
If you get a situation where you start to oversteer or understeer, you get no warning with slicks, because a street tire, has groove tread. So as a street tire breaks loose, it smoothly breaks through. As a slick breaks loose, you go from a perfect contact patch to no contact patch.
Right.
That's what you saw.
There's
there.
no build-up. It's instant.
Right.
And as we saw right there.
Yeah.
Time is 66.
And we're going to take another look at that spin out there from the Miata.
See, everything's good. Now it's not.
Just
it's just that
instant.
simple. Yeah. That's why I don't run slicks on my Vet or any of the cars I do lapping days with now, because I don't want to have that risk. I want a bit of warning as it's breaking loose, and it's all the better for it.
And the street tire technology is to the point now that you can run a street tire that gives you a lot of warning, and you can keep up with the slick guys.
Yeah.
And it's just not a big deal anymore.
How many cars do you guys have? Just wondering.
We have a lot.
Yeah. How big is your house? Just, a house, but really it's just a garage
Storm
with
at
a
the
house?
shop. We storm at the shop.
Okay.
There you go. I'm actually putting a lift in one of my garage bays at home, so I can have a couple there.
Wow.
You got to have promotional cars. You have to show people that when you say, hey, I can do this, that you can do this.
Right.
Actually have evidence of it and some really nice examples of it.
You could also say I also have my own TV show on
Yeah, that
Rogers
helps.
TV.
There you go.
Auto Talking.
How could I? Yeah.
And you have your own shop as well, Robinson Automotive, here with Kirk and Mike Robinson. Phil Perkins here. We're in Brampton. You're watching Racing Peel on Rogers TV. It's the push it to the limit Autoslalom. and drivers from everywhere, basically. Have you met anyone who this could have been their first time on the track, or?
I met a couple that were taking turns. She was driving, he was driving.
Wow.
Very nice.
She claims to be sandbagging it. So
was that a first date, or?
I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to go that far.
Right.
But they were sharing the car. It was a Lexus that's out there, and they were having a great time.
Time is
But he was beating her, he said.
57.653.
But he's not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a look here at a Saab. You don't see those around too much anymore either.
This should be pretty quick though. They're typically all-wheel drive, 2.3 liter turbo, so they can scoot.
And when you want to buy parts for him, though.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to buy parts for a little while longer.
Yeah.
But
That's the
no,
problem.
unfortunately, Saab's not with us anymore. Can't buy a new one anymore.
Time is 53.723 for car number 92.
I don't think I would be stressing that car.
No, it's such a nice car.
Yeah.
But very, very quick. Saab was influential in bringing a lot of turbo technology, a lot of four-cylinder technology to General Motors into North America.
So we were saying initially that a couple minutes ago that are there not too many turbocharged engines you're hearing or seeing so far here today?
Here today, there's a few. Definitely a lot more naturally aspirated going on. I don't know if it's the heat or just the
Time
cost
is
of entry, but
55.102.
it's definitely a lot more cost-effective to throw around the naturally aspirated cars.
Yeah, the turbo, you know, in this track isn't probably the best case scenario. Be better to have a supercharged engine, a bit more torque. The turbo, you got to wind up. Horsepower starts high, so you know, unless they can really let loose on a straightaway, they're not going to see the benefit of the turbo.
We were seeing a lot of turbo surge earlier today, where the cars are trying to pick the right gears. They're having trouble getting into the RPMs, and it's really bad on the compressors.
Taking a look at car number 101, another Mazda Miata being driven by Clive. The other time there for the Saab was 55.102. It's all pretty good times. And I'm trying to wonder about the feather. That must be a good luck charm.
It's working for him, though.
Yeah, he had a pretty good time last time. Last time I remember. This is his second time on the course.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see here as it winds down, and you know, they're getting into their you know, fourth or fifth tries, they're going to be going for it a bit harder.
Time
so
is
you're going to start seeing a bit
57.147.
more spin outs and you know, snap oversteer.
Now
Snap
this is
understeer.
going to be a nice one to watch.
This will be. This is car 117. Do I even have to say what kind of car it is? It's a 2006 Lotus being driven by Peter.
He's had it since new, and it's all stock.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just comes here, and he's done about 3 dozen of these, he said. So he's a veteran.
Wow.
Very nice gentleman.
And does he collect Lotuses? Is he loyal to that, or does he just have a ton of cars and he just likes racing them?
I didn't have that much time with him.
Yeah. I'm guessing people here don't stick around for conversations. Everything's pretty quick.
Yeah, I was. But many of them I caught in the line, so I knew I had a limited amount of time. But quite the enthusiast. He likes his Lotus. Yeah.
And for good reason. It seems to be doing pretty well so far on the track.
They're light. They're very nimble, right? So
very well suited to this.
It was designed for this, really. Yep. It really was. That was not designed to go get groceries with. You know?
Definitely not. You don't want to be particularly tall and try to drive that car.
Time is 52.854.
There you go.
Very good
52.
time.
Told you.
That's pretty good. 52, just over 52 seconds there for the 06 Lotus.
Yeah.
As we take a look at car number 199, an 84 Porsche. That's Darren over there.
Those actually handle very, very well. So that has a lot of potential. Yeah. I used to race against those with my Camaros. We could take them on the horsepower. Oh, he lost the rear end.
Talk about control. You're a bad omen. You're jinxing people left and right.
He's got a lot of oversteer.
I think they're going in just a little too hot.
Bit of a spin out there. Didn't hit a pylon, but obviously we'll lose some time.
Yeah, he was just way too late on everything. Turning too late. That's really what it was.
You have to keep in mind as the day goes on, that slow is fast. Going through things smoothly and hitting your apexes correctly are what makes you fast, not throwing it into the corners.
Now those cars do handle well, they really do. He has no excuse.
Yeah, if you had a pit crew and a coach, no excuse there.
There you go, exactly.
I gotta ask you, I'm a video game guy. If you had a really good system going on, you got a nice steering wheel, like could you prepare for something like this on a video game system?
Not really, because the line of sight is just not
62.916.
natural, right? As you plan for a corner and head into a corner, is picking up the landmarks for braking. If they could improve that, that would be great. But that's what I've noticed, because I've actually drove Mosport in real, and then I've drove it on the video games, and I'm sorry, it's two different worlds.
Yeah, if you want to see a nice simulator, look at the one that Sebastian Vettel uses before each race. It's got an absolutely massive screen. It's the size of a movie theater, and he's in a tub for the Formula One car, and it's on actuators that kick him left and right and up and down, and he's got side view mirrors, the whole works. You need millions of dollars to recreate that effect.
And I think Sebastian Vettel definitely has that. But it seems to be working. Multi-championship winner. He is an amazing driver.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
No, it's the feel of the G-forces is what you need that feedback to kind of know when you're crossing the line, right?
Yeah, you need feedback in the brakes to know when you're about to lock up. You need feedback from the
Oh, that's not good. That one kind of made me a little nervous.
Yeah, that was car number 110 that almost broke us into 110 pieces.
I didn't like that one.
That was a Lexus being driven by Stefan. He might need a talking to.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking the stop sign and the other sign would stop him either. It would slow him down by the time he got to us.
Yeah. Here's car number 131, a 99 Mazda Miata being driven by Andrew. Speaking of crossing the line, that almost got us there. A lot of Mazda Miatas here. Brampton had to push it to the limit. Autoslalom. You're watching Racing in Peel here at Rogers TV. Phil Perkins here with Kirk and Mike Robinson. It's a family affair today here in Brampton as we're watching this Miata go through the course. And this one, do you think maybe they're watching all the other cars going through the race? Like, okay, I got to calm down on that corner there.
Yeah.
No, definitely, he's definitely good and controlled.
So did he brake too hard there in that one final turn, or?
Yeah, he kind of turned a bit late and got on the power a bit too early, I guess would be what. And he was, kind of set pointing at us when he did that. So.
Definitely driving a little cautiously there, just over 61 seconds, but there are more cars on tap here in Brampton at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. You are watching Racing in Peel on Rogers TV. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Whose truck is this? Uncle Pete's truck. Right on. Is it fast? Is it a fast truck? Yeah. Are you enjoying the race today? Yeah. Right on. He looks like he's into it hardcore.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Welcome back to Brampton. You're watching Racing in Peel on Rogers TV, and we're at the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom. Phil Perkins here with Mike Robinson, his son. Oh, sorry, Kirk Robinson. Your son, Mike, will join us very shortly. And the official races on the slalom are done. They're completed. We do have a winner, the fastest time of the day. That is Colin in the 2006 Lotus, that gorgeous yellow Lotus.
Yeah, he drove that well. Drove it well.
52 seconds, I believe,
Yeah.
was the time, just over 52 seconds. I think when they said it, I'm like, that's pretty much the fastest time.
You could see as he drove, it was going to be a good time. He was very balanced, controlled, car handled well. It's sort of purpose-built for this.
And these guys love their cars. They love going fast. And so this is what you're looking at. This is a fun runs. They're getting the times, I'm sure, but there won't be any ranking here or points given out. Everyone here is just trying to have as much fun as possible. So you might see some crazy drifting. So guys taking some risks.
I think we're going to be going through tires. Yes, I think so.
That's car 86. That's a 85 Toyota driven by David. We got a lot of Miatas out here, like car number 2. That's 2006 Miata being driven by Trevor.
Like we said all day, the Miatas are quite popular.
Yep, they're doing it.
Of course, I won't speak too soon. Last time I said it was a great handling car. It's spun out.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some burnouts and some spinouts as well. People taking some risks on these fun runs, just gunning it before they go home, before the next event.
I don't want to be mean to the Miatas, but I don't think they have the horsepower for the burnout. What do you think?
I think he can do it. He's going to have to throw it in really hard. He'll do it. The FRS was doing a very good job there.
Yeah.
In fact, we did just see, I believe it was either the Subaru or the Scion that spun out on the very first fun run.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty aggressive. Didn't hit any pylons, though. Not that it matters. No one's keeping score at this point. It was Colin in the 06 Lotus that had the fastest time with just over 52 seconds. Take a look at car number 42 here. It's a 2000 Miata again, being driven by Yang.
I think this started off as the Miata Club, this group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I had heard. And then, of course, they realized there weren't that many Miatas in the world, as we would think there would be, right?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to open up to all makes and models. You get to see just a ton of different driving styles, a ton of different modifications, and just a really good time.
Well, an enthusiast is an enthusiast, right? So I was out talking with everyone here. I mean, I made my way through every car, and all just excellent people. Love the sport, love what they're doing today, a lot of fun to chat with, love to talk about their car. Well, who doesn't, right? So it's a good time.
And obviously, this runs through your family, both you guys. It's a family business. Robinson Automotive, you guys have your own shop. You've raced. You guys customize cars. You're an electrical engineer. You know the nuts and bolts of this. It truly is a family affair with you guys. It's in your blood.
Oh, yeah. We love our track days, but we've learned to make a small fortune in racing. You start with a large fortune. So what we do is we stick to lapping days and just do it recreational fun, right? Instead of going golfing, we'll go to the track and do a lapping day. And you can go to many tracks like Toronto Motorsport Park, do open lapping sessions. It'll cost you about $125 for the day, and it's safe, and you can have a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah, something tells me you're not the golf type.
Well, he's a pretty good golfer.
But I get bored quick.
I was going to say, can we run to the next hole, please? Yeah.
It does happen.
As we see Vince here in his 92 Mazda. Everyone here is just having fun. These are fun runs now. The official races are over. And these guys are just ripping it.
I'd like to see this red car go after it. He's been pretty conservative all day, so it'll be nice to see him go after it.
I think this track would be pretty hard on the brakes, so the way they've got it set up.
Crazy.
Yeah. This isn't going to be easy on the
Is
brakes.
it just the properties of the asphalt itself? Or?
Well, no, it just because it's a short track, there's a lot of braking. You actually tend to boil your brake fluid. Brake fluid has a boiling point, and say your standard brake fluid you may see in your everyday car is probably around the high 300s, degrees Fahrenheit. Well, when you're racing, you easily hit that. So they would opt for probably a more high-performance brake fluid, a .4, or even go to a racing brake fluid, which is like 600 degrees. So once your brake fluid boils, you get air bubbles in your brake fluid, which gives you air in your brakes. So when you step on your brakes, it's not much there.
Yeah.
So You have to bear that in mind anytime you do driving like this, to upgrade your minimum your brake fluid.
And
Good
even
set of
your-
pads.
Exactly, and even your pads. What will happen is guys will come out with regular brake pads, and when they overheat, the glue that binds the brake pad together will actually come to the essentially come to the contact surface on the rotor and glaze the pads. Well, that ruins the brakes, and on your way home, you wonder, hey, why can't I get the car stopped without really heating up the brakes? So it's very important after you get done with these, either go in, get your brake pads changed so that you have your street brake pads and your racing brake pads, or plan on a brake job shortly after.
I would definitely recommend they flush their brake fluid out after this day, regardless of who they are. Every car should actually have a brake fluid flush and get it all flushed out, because they've definitely put enough heat into it today that it's not going to perform as well. So.
And there are a couple guys we've seen so far. They're going to have to go to a mechanic after today as well.
Well, we
for
have
sure.
one on a tow truck right now. Thankfully, it's only one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite too. It's the NSX.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, he definitely took the clutch out. I did
well,
a service call
it's
there.
time for a better clutch, though. There's some really nice ones for
Yeah.
those. Nice billet flywheel.
So-
Get it improved.
A lot of guys have their hoods open. Are they just trying to cool off the motor? Is that what it is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Especially on the Subarus with the turbos,
Yeah.
they like to hold the heat in the engine, and that's it's very important when you're doing this stuff to cool down those engines. We actually run an exhaust gas temperature sensor on our Subaru just to, so we know when it's getting too hot, so we can shut it down.
Seeing a 2013 brand new Subaru being driven by Frankie. This is the one that spun out earlier in the very first fun run.
He's definitely more composed this time.
Yeah.
He's
That
gonna
could
need
spook
a
you,
tire.
I'm assuming.
He's gonna need a tire rotation tomorrow. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Maybe even a set of rear tires with
Yeah.
the way he's been going.
Yeah, I agree. That car has potential, though, eh, Mike?
Oh yeah, very well balanced.
I wouldn't mind building one of those up. Not a bad looking car.
So you can look at a car and you can say, I can do this to it and this to it.
Yeah,
just-
it's got good bones, right? Like it's laid out good. You're gonna see some pretty quick ones, I think, of that model coming out. Yeah.
And here's another one. This is I think it's brand new as well. A 2013 Subaru as well.
Yeah, there's not much on horsepower right now,
No.
but
No, but it's coming. They have centrifugal blowers for them, so you can put forced induction on them, get some more horsepower. You can also, what's nice is swap out the old Subaru powertrain and put it in there. So you can put in a Subaru STI motor, make 300-400 horsepower fairly easy and somewhat reliably.
might void your warranty.
There's no warranty at that point. Maybe on the door handles, but that's about it.
That's what it needs. That's so what it needs. Yeah.
I'm wondering now, obviously with the times you guys have been in the business for a long time, we haven't seen any electrical cars, but the Tesla and what they've been doing, do you see someone getting that, and how do you think it would do,
It would do
on a track
amazing.
like this?
On a track like this, it would do amazing. Electrical cars or electric cars, they have a lot of torque and they get moving really quickly. So in this kind of, I don't want to say slow pace, but definitely a lot of slow acceleration, they would just excel at. So it'd be very, very good for them.
Now it's huge torque numbers really on those. Huge. Yeah.
Speaking of fuel-efficient Honda, of course, one of the leaders in that is car number 21 in a 2008 Honda Civic. Now, does it look like they've done much work to this vehicle?
A little bit. It's an SI, so they start off around 180 horsepower. It's been lowered. You can tell he's got some suspension work under it. Looks like it's mostly just springs because you can see quite a bit of body roll, probably a little more than stock actually, but it's been lightly modified.
I like that he didn't go for the big soup can exhaust on it.
Exactly.
Sounds so much better.
It sounds good. It
Yeah.
looks good. It's a nice car.
And we now have a station wagon. Not too shabby. All different types of cars here in Brampton for the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom.
I don't need. That's actually a 2.5i. Definitely working the all-wheel drive system today. But that would be a naturally aspirated Subaru.
It just kind of looks like they're trying to get to soccer practice as soon as possible.
Well, I believe that's who I interviewed earlier. He's got some sticky tires on there, and he's got about 2 degrees camber in the front end, and that's it. That's what he's done. And the joke was, when you get done today, you give it back to your wife, and then she can use it for the week. And he agreed.
Just clean the rubber off the side.
Yeah,
first.
that's for sure.
Oh, that's a nice Subaru. I have a Subaru. I'm kind of fond of Subarus, so it's always good to see a station wagon on the racetrack.
Yeah, you know, it's a family car for, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and 7th day, have some fun with it.
Yeah. So any modifications to it?
This has an alignment and some very sticky tires, which are still classed as street tires. And rear sway bar has been changed to something a little stiffer.
Right, and stop the roll back there. Yeah. Yeah, you do have some nice tires. Look, oh, I like the tires. What are they?
This is a Dunlop Dureza. They call it a Star Spec, and it's a street tire. It's street legal, but it's very soft, and it's made essentially for competition.
No, it looks like it's holding up well. You don't, the wear looks good. Your alignment looks to be done right. You can always tell if you don't have it set, a lot of chunks out of the side.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
But you were saying earlier, it seems like a husband and wife combo. They're taking turns.
They were. It was in the Lexus, and she did claim to be sandbagging it though, just to keep things good in the home. But I don't know. It was a very nice car too. All the toys.
Speaking of very nice cars, we have this custom made. Well, at least we found out that this is
a Miata.
A Miata.
Yeah.
That they have completely changed, at least on the outside.
Yeah, that's the mystery I solved during our interviews. So it was good. I had to know.
Oh,
the
yeah.
The whole drivetrain's Miata. You just pop the body off.
So you have a future as an investigative reporter.
There you go. Yeah.
You broke it down.
I broke it down for sure.
You're just waiting for
It's
the
got
okay.
A strange idle to it, though.
How so? It just sounds funny?
It's surging, yeah.
It's surging at idle.
Just means it needs a little tuning. Yeah. Sometimes when you throw a header on and a different intake, you'll pick up a bit of surge because your idle is there's less back pressure, so your engine's trying to figure out what's going on. Doesn't really matter when you're running wide open, though. You see.
It seems to be driving quite well. It did not have the fastest time, despite how it looks. It looks like something out of the old Batman movies. It was, in fact, the 2006 Lotus driven by Colin that had the best time today, just over 52 seconds.
Yeah, he was quite upset because he hasn't been able to get it certified. No mechanic will certify it, so he can't drive it on the road. He claims it's street legal, but it's because he doesn't have a windshield.
So would they, to get this back home, I guess he'd have to mount it on a trailer or something?
Right, yeah, exactly. He seems to believe it should be certified, but as a
I'm wondering
mechanic,
what the crash test rating would be on
well,
that.
I told him it was most likely bumpers I'd be nervous about.
There's can and then there's should.
Yeah. He said he hasn't found a mechanic to certify it, and I kind of told him I wouldn't be one either.
This one looks neat, an old FT86.
And it is car 86, it's actually a 1985 Toyota, driven by David H.
Right-hand drive, Toyota Corolla, rear-wheel drive. Old drifter's car, that's what that is.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe not the car itself, but that's one of the cars that started drifting right there.
Where did that originate?
In Japan with those rear-wheel drive cars. Guys started going down the mountain, having some fun, drifting down the hills. A little dangerous at that point.
I could imagine, yeah.
And just grew from there. But that's a great chassis for it. You throw a turbocharger in it, it's very light, very short wheelbase. You can throw it around really easy.
I don't really like drifting that much. It doesn't make sense. You chew up your tire and you go slower.
Exactly,
right?
but
it
you
looks
look
cool.
Exactly, and there's some people who look to do that. And in fact, when like you said, it slows you down. It looks cool, but if you want to go for fastest time of the day, not exactly the best option.
But it is great car control. When you do watch them race against each other and they're drifting, incredible car control those guys have. So, you know what? Maybe not the fastest, but it looks good.
Yeah, the movies love it, that's for sure.
Well, it's fun to watch, right? You see the smoke coming off the back of the tires and all that.
We're taking a look at car number 101. This is another Miata, 2002, being driven by Clive. These are the fun runs you're watching. We already have the fast time of the day. So we have here car number 16. This is a 95 Acura being driven by Shane. He's got his own custom helmet. He's got the decals. He's ready to go. He's done this before.
It's important to have the decals.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. They add
Makes you go
20
faster.
horsepower.
Yeah. So are there any cars here that really impressed you guys? Any drivers that really impressed you guys?
The Lotus. The Lotus.
Yeah. I think I saw that the first guy I saw here. I'm like, oh, okay.
He was definitely under control through his whole run. Didn't overstep his boundaries. He did a really nice clean run.
Yeah, he'd be hard to beat for sure. When I interviewed him, like I said, he said a few dozen, so he's done this before, and just almost the perfect car for this type of racing.
Really is, and it has been a perfect day as well. There were warnings of thunderstorms. Thank goodness that didn't happen, but apparently I saw on the website here, the Push It to the Limit Autoslalom, they do this in the rain too.
Oh, that's the best.
Is it?
Oh, I love that.
Explain.
Oh, that separates the men from the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, the rain racing? Because you got to kind of behave and settle the car down. So the smoother you are, because as we talked earlier, it's all about the contact patch, right? So you need as much contact as you can have in the rain, right? So if you're a little rough with the wheel, you go from 4 tires to 3 tires. You're not going to hold the track. That's why a rain race in Formula One, you watch that, it's so equal. Because the extra horsepower of many of the teams, that doesn't come into play, and you can see the true driving skills of the drivers.
There you go.
I love a rain race. Yeah.
Here's a car that would be having trouble with that. He's on 4 slicks, full slicks. So he should be pushing it pretty hard in the corner here.
I can't tell you from experience, though, a rain race at Mosport is not a lot of fun. So that's a little dicey.
Really?
Yeah, high-speed track in the rain is not fun.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you could definitely lose some control.
Yeah, it's pretty unnerving.
Here you can see he's got a lot of tires, but not a lot of suspension.
Yeah.
So he's just, the tires are sticking, but the car wants to go
Roll.
everywhere.
Yeah. Anytime you modify your car, you got to do it, in proportion, proportionally to, you put sticky tires, you probably need better brakes. You need a better set of coilovers or sway bars, right? So.
Yeah, it's not just a one-time thing. You get
You don't
tires.
mold
There's a
one
lot of
thing.
things that accompany it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You start breaking things when you modify, one area too much. You start breaking things because you're stressing other components, and the manufacturer engineered these components to work with that tire and that tire adhesion. So then when you change and you generate more heat, more force, more load on the suspension components, you can have a problem, right? So
That'll definitely hamper you on the track for sure. I guess it's kind of like working out. You can't just work out one
Very good.
muscle
right.
and then not work out the others, else you're going to be overcompensating,
That's
and that
right.
can result in injury.
Yeah. Plus you look kind of weird.
Yeah,
There you
kind of
go.
funny. Talk about separating the men from the boys. The guys with the twig legs, never understood that. Not a good look. This is a good look at Miata here. Car number 2 just finishing up there. And this will be our last car number 42, going for a second fun run. Another Mazda Miata from 2000 being driven by Yang. Let's see if he makes it count. Seems to be a bit more aggressive than his previous runs.
No, he's definitely pushing it.
They're probably getting as many runs as they can, because whenever the next event will be,
Yeah.
they're going to have to kind of sit at home. But I'm sure you can go anywhere really in Southern Ontario for events like this.
Oh, definitely. Every Wednesday and Friday, you can go up to Toronto Motorsport Park for Take It to the Track, and you can do Saturdays, Sundays. There's actually a lot of places to go and race legally, so it's really nice.
Well, that wraps up us here in Brampton, here at the Push It to the Limit Auto Show. Phil Perkins here with Kirk and Mike Robinson. What are you guys taking away from today's event?
I've taken, you know, the sport is definitely very popular. The people are great, and I think it's important that we have events like this. You know, keep it off the street.
Exactly. It's good to see people coming out supporting the sport. You see that's a lot more mainstream than it used to be. So you can come out in the middle of Brampton, have some fun. You know, it's really neat to see.
And really, if you were a parent, you were concerned about car control for your kids, you know, maybe something you may consider. I'm serious. The kids would love it. Of course, you may, you know, hit a few cones with your car. But, you know, it improves your winter driving, improves your driving in general, and you learn the feel of your car, too, which many people, I don't think, really understand what their car can do as they drive it every day.
Yeah, get to know your car a lot better for sure doing this. One thing I learned from you guys, go smooth to go fast.
That's right.
Definitely.
There you go.
I don't know how smooth I'm going to drive on the way home. I'm going to be gunning it right now. Someone wants to give me a test drive on one of these. It's not going to be pretty, fellas. But
it'll be fun.
It definitely will be. And it was a lot of fun today here in Brampton. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Racing in Peel. Join us next time on Rogers TV.